Hello everybody, welcome to the Give Me Signs channel where we help you grow your business. Today we're going to be working with business cards. This is your number one marketing piece. You should always have some on you. You never know when you might meet that next client. So make sure you have some contact information and a leave behind. And a business card's the number one way to do that. So we're going to hop into Photoshop here and show you how to come up with a couple simple ideas to create a pretty compelling looking business card to help you draw in more business. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's get right into it. This right here is what we're going to end up with for this particular business card design. I thought, let's make this a restaurant for our fictitious business to work with. We're going to start branding it, and I'm going to call it Noodle and U, and it's a ramen and sake place. So the first thing that I did, I went on a place called freepick.com, and they have a lot of free vectors and stuff. I get the Pro because they have a little bit better vectors if you pay a little bit more. It's not a big deal if you do or don't. You'll find something pretty cool. I found this cool vector graphic of a fork and noodles. A vector versus rasterized, what is that? So when you are designing, know that a rastered picture, it'd be like an image, can only come in at one size, and so if you make it bigger than the size it came in on, it gets blurry, and the bigger you make it, the blurrier it gets. So with a vector is different. A vector can go to any size, small or large. It's based more on a mathematical equation, and it's usually done in a program called Illustrator, and that's another program. Right now we're in Photoshop. So I found this cool graphic, and I thought this would make a great branding kind of mascot to say in other words, good logo. I found another great font called Helvetica Doodle that I thought would work out really good with Noodle and U. So that's what I'm using for the font. I'll put the links down below in the description for both of these things, for both the font and as well as where you can find a lot of great free vectors to work with. The vector image came in with this color, and so I just kind of kept it. What I'm kind of going for here is to start with just a business card, to start building our brand from this. So I'm going to continue to use this image throughout the series. So as I'm building the postcard and the door hanger and table tent and signs, which we'll get to later on in other series of this video series, I'll keep that as a kind of a tie-in for all the pieces so people will recognize Noodle and U. And I thought that Noodle and U just didn't really need a big logo. I thought just a cool font that made it unique, I think would work fine, and kind of use this more as this standpoint. So how did I get here? That's your next question. Well, let's start off with, go to givemesigns.com, and I have a link there for templates, and there we'll have the templates for what we use for business cards. This is exactly how it will pop up. It should already have your guidelines already in there. What they are is, this outside line is the final cut line, and that is where the machine will finally cut down the card. So anything beyond this is going to get cut off. So make sure there are no text or images or color, whatever, that you don't want to get cut off. Let's say you do want to get it cut off. Say you have a picture of an orange that goes off the corner of the card. That's fine. Just make sure it's completely covering this area. That is also called the bleed area. So if you want your colors to bleed off the edge, or the photo to bleed off the edge of the design, you can do that. This inner blue line, this is your safety for text. You want to keep all text and main images, logos, as far away from this as you possibly get without losing too much space in the actual design area. So anyway, this is part one. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to load in that image that I just showed you with the fork. And I already kind of have it here somewhere. Where did I put it? So the first thing we want to do is go to File, and then we want to go down to Place Embedded. And what this will do is allow us to load in an image onto a layer inside Photoshop. And so here is the image that I liked. which is that fork image. It's going to come in vertical because this is actually how it was originally designed, and I'm actually going to probably keep it like that for the back side of the business card. But right now, let us just turn this by holding the Shift button down, and then grab the corner area. If you see, like, it kind of turns into like a curvy look. The Shift will keep it going on 45-degree angles all the way around, so you can snap it to a perfect horizontal. You want to grab one of these corner handles right here, click and hold down the Shift button and drag out, and if you hold the Alt as well, it'll do it proportionally all the way around. So I'm going to go all the way till it's pretty much off the page, so I think about right there, because what I'm going to do is pull this down a little bit because I want to give it a little bit of a punch. And remember earlier when I was telling you about this kind of bleed area, see how it's going to now get cut off perfectly, so it'll bleed off the page, and it'll also give me just a little bit of oomph over here, and it'll also give me a little bit of room down over here. So let me grab this corner as well. I'm going to just scooch it just a little bit so we just cover up that whole little area. And then as you're probably going, hey, wait a second, there's a big white spot up there. Not a problem, we can take care of that. Because this vector kind of came all together in one piece, I kept it that way. I'm going to probably go in on a later video and take out that vector. I can show you how to do that. It's very simple. But for right now, this will be fine since it's a business card. It's small enough. It's going to be fine. What I want to do is get this color, and the way I can do that is over here on your toolbar on the left-hand side of Photoshop. If you click this eyedropper tool, and you just select the color that you want to grab, and as you grabbed it, you see that now it's changed right over here, and now that is your color. And what we want to do is fill this background with that color, so that way it'll get rid of all of the white area in the back. And all you have to do that is go edit and fill, and it's going to ask you, do you want to put this on the foreground? You go yes, and click OK. Boom, and there you go. It's perfectly filled in all the way around. Now, what we wanted to do is add that text. So we're going to go to your text tool over here on the toolbar. Click somewhere where you kind of relatively want it to go. I'm going to turn to kind of more black. I think is going to be too harsh. Yeah, it's going to be too harsh. So what I would do is actually grab this. Let's bring up this text palette over here on the right hand side. You have some toolbars over here. The one with the A on it, that's your text palette. Go ahead and open that up, and we're going to click color, and it's going to allow you to turn this into like a little eyedropper. And I'm going to grab this brown right there that's actually in the fork, and now it's blending perfectly now with the browns in the fork. That's going to look a lot better, which it does. And you click OK. And now I can edit that text. Let's edit that text now to what we want. The place is called Noodle and U, and I'm going to keep it all lowercase just for aesthetic reasons. I can't remember. Noodle and U? Yeah, Noodle and U. Let's change that font. That font is going to go to, it's called Helvetica Doodle, and I'll put the link in the description below for you guys. I like that. Let's put that there. And the sub headline is going to be ramen and sake. Okay. And make sure it's aligned right there. I'm going to pull that back just a little bit. The way you transform that, the way I just did that, do select that layer, do a Control T, and that will bring up your transform, and then just grab the handles and use Shift to keep it proportional. Anyway, that looks pretty good right there. Let's see what we look like now. The other one was a little bit bigger. Yeah, we can make it a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do over here on the layers palette, over here on the right, let's select both of those layers by holding down the Shift and clicking both of them, and then hitting Control T, and that's going to bring up that transform, and we're going to just pump it up a little bit by holding down the Shift key, and it's looking pretty good right there. Double click it and it will set it. I'm going to move it a little bit. Make sure this move tool is selected, and I'm just using the arrow keys and shift. I moved it over just a couple clicks where I think it's looking pretty good now. Let's look at what the original was and what we just designed, pretty close to what we originally were doing. So you get a kind of an idea of what we got going on here. And actually I kind of like it a little bit smaller than the original. Yeah, I think I like this one a little bit better. I think that's going to stand out a little bit nicer. So anyway, this is the front of the card. So now we got the front of the card done, and now we want to create a backside of it that actually has the information. This is great because I normally do business cards that are two-sided. It's a great way to have a nice piece of advertising and also on the other side have some information to give away. So let's get onto the backside and what it's going to look like. This is how we're going to end up on the backside. As you can see, we're still using that same mascot logo over here on the left. That's going to tie in our branding, and we're going to keep that Noodle and U ramen and sake in that same font over here. And so let's start building that. And what I'm going to do is actually start from here. And this way we don't have to recreate everything too much. We just have to resave it, go under File, Save As. And the new versions will tend to ask you if you want to do on the cloud or on the computer. I always put it on the computer. And then let's go to resize. All right, now let's do the backside, and we'll call it Noodle Card 2 for right now. And hit save, keep it as a PSD so that way we have all the layers intact. It's going to bring up this dialog box, and you click OK, and now you have a new file. This is going to be the backside. So the front side is already stored. Now we're working on the backside. So now we can manipulate this. It's not going to affect what we already did. So first thing I want to do is, if you go up here on the top left, there's an auto select button. Make sure that that's checked so it's easy to kind of select layers. So now I can just click on that fork layer, hit Control T to transform it. And as you see, the things come up, the handles. Grab the corner handle, do Shift and Alt to shrink it down a little bit. Now go just outside the corner. You see how it kind of turns into like a 2-arrow curve? Now click and drag that with the Shift. And we're going to make it go completely vertical now. So now we're going to go over here, and that's going to give us our side piece over here. We already have our Noodle and U and sake, and we're going to keep that. So we just select both those layers over here in the layers palette, hit Control T, and do the same thing again, holding down the Shift. This time I'm just going to hold down Shift so I can kind of just bring it down just a little bit. I think that should be good. Let's move that up a little bit. I want to give it a little bit of balance, so I'm going to create a line that goes down the side over here. So I'm going to select this box tool over here on the shape tools, the box shape tool on the toolbar. Click and drag down a box. Make it real thin. It doesn't have to be super big, thin. Some people use lines. I tend to use a box so I can kind of control the size a little bit faster and easier. Over here you get to control the outline as well as the fill. We don't need an outline, so let's turn that off. Now on the fill, let's turn it to that brown that we were working on for everything else. So now it's matching pretty good. But as you can see, it's not centered totally. So I'm going to use the arrow keys just to kind of bring it up a little bit. Get that nice and centered. And that gives us a little something to work off of. So now let me reselect the logo, the Noodle and U ramen and sake part. I'm going to push it off the edge just a little bit. And that's looking nice. And now let's put down the rest of the information. First thing we're going to need is a name. Always make sure there's a nice big name on there. We're going to name him John Doe. And John Doe looks great, but it's blending too much in with the logo. We don't want that. We want this branding to kind of just stick out no matter what we do. So in the future things to come, in the future videos, we're going to keep this and we're going to keep this. And we're going to start to use a kind of a lookbook. So we're going to stick with another font for the basic text called Anke. I like a lot. It's a sans serif font that gives a nice clean look. So that's going to be our informational font for the rest of the card. So now let me put this over here. He's the manager, and sure, I'll keep it lowercase just for aesthetic. Again, hold down the shift key and bring it over here. Just a quick note. Over here on the font palette, it's going to tell you the size. Make sure that the size never gets below 8. You can make it smaller than that, but it's really hard to read below 8. I like to keep it to 10 as much as possible. Sometimes that's a little bit big for the area that you need to fit in, so I'll go down to the maximum. I mean, the minimum you should get to is an 8. Just try not to get below an 8, just as a piece of advice. The printing will usually come in too small. And so now we got that. Let's put in some kind of an address, which is 555. Let's say Anywhere Lane. And then let's say that's in Pasadena. I can't see everything where I'm doing. Let's shrink that down a little bit. Let's go down to a 10. Pasadena. Let's see. Okay. And we're going to take that and we're going to just move that on over and use those guidelines that pop up, guys. In the new Photoshop, they really did a great job by doing that. In the old days, you used to have to sit there and align stuff a lot. It makes it really a quick move, so that way everything's lining up the nice way. And then let's put in a web address, which will be www.noodleandu.com. And what we're going to do, we're going to size it so it's the same size as that, because we want it a little bit bigger. So get it lined up with this edge, hit Control T. It's going to bring up the handles, hold down the shift, grab the other end, and make it fit perfectly right there, and double click it to lock it down. Let's bring that up a little bit. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I'm thinking I'm missing something, and what am I missing? I know what I'm missing. Do you know what I'm missing? I'm missing a phone number, and so I'm going to make a little bit of room. Bring that down a little bit. And I usually put the phone number right with the name. So I'm going to pop in a quick little phone number. We'll make that 626-555-1212, because you know that that's definitely not a real number, but we're going to use it for the video's sake. So hopefully this is working for you guys. Let's get that on over there. I'm going to put the phone should be at a 10 at least match up a little bit. So let's get that lined up just a little bit better. I'm going to move up the John Doe Manager a bit. Give it a little bit of space, and now we're starting to look pretty good. So let us take a look, and I think we're good. Okay, so let's open up the front page again, the front side of this business card, which will be right here. And so that's our front side, and now we have our back side, and now we have a business card and the start of our branding. So we're going to use Noodle and U Ramen and Sake for our guinea pig for the upcoming video. So the next one, we're going to work on a postcard that's built off of the branding off of this, and that postcard is going to be the direct mail piece that you need, and also that handout you need, so that when people do come into your shop, or when you do run into them, you can actually give them a handout that's going to give them an offer or a call to action to continue getting them to check out your business. So anyway, that's in the next video. Again, my name's Billy. This is GiveMeSigns.com, and I hope this was a helpful video. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye.